Okay, here's a question. What if you could consciously, you know, leave your body and explore another dimension?
Hmm.
Or what if that whole experience, no matter how incredibly real it feels, is actually just an amazing trick of your own brain?
That's the core question, isn't it?
It is. And today, we're taking a really deep dive into a phenomenon that's fascinated humanity for, well, millennia.
We're talking about astral projection, an experience that, yeah, some people dismiss as pure fantasy,
Right.
while others embrace it as a profound, absolutely undeniable truth.
And to help us navigate this really intriguing topic, we've pulled together a pretty comprehensive stack of sources.
Yeah, we've got everything from historical texts, spiritual traditions, right up to modern scientific research and even personal accounts from practitioners.
Exactly. So our mission today is to give you, our listener, a clear, comprehensive, and hopefully engaging understanding of astral projection.
We'll trace its history across different cultures, look at the specific techniques people actually use,
hmm
explore what modern science thinks might be happening in the brain during these states,
Yeah, the brain side is fascinating.
and also weigh up the reported benefits and, the potential risks of exploring these altered states.
Get ready for some surprising facts and hopefully a few aha moments along the way.
Definitely.
So before we dive too deep into the practice itself, I think it's really crucial we clarify some terms
Good idea.
because people use astral projection, out-of-body experience, even lucid dreaming kind of interchangeably sometimes.
They do, and it can get confusing. But in the communities that practice this stuff, the terms have quite specific meanings.
Right. So what's the main distinction for astral projection, or AP?
Okay, so AP refers to a deliberate experience. It's intentional.
Intentional. Got it.
The idea is to consciously separate a non-physical, let's call it a subtle body,
Mm.
to travel the astral plane for exploration or maybe spiritual development.
So the key is conscious intent.
Exactly, that's the differentiator.
Okay, so then an out-of-body experience, an OBE,
Yeah,
is more of a general category.
precisely. It's the brighter umbrella term. It covers any experience where your awareness feels like it's outside your physical body.
Like looking down on yourself.
Often, yeah, that classic perspective. So our sources are clear. Every AP is an OBE.
Mm-hmm.
But not all OBEs are APs. You can have spontaneous ones triggered by, say, illness, trauma, near-death experiences.
Even high G-forces like fighter pilots experience.
Exactly. Things that shock the system, basically, without
Right.
any intention to project.
Okay. And where does lucid dreaming fit in? LD.
Right. So LD is when you become aware you're dreaming while you're in the dream.
And you can control it?
Potentially, yeah. You gain some level of volition. Now, interestingly, some practitioners see lucid dreaming as a kind of gateway.
A gateway to an OBE.
Yeah, they might try to consciously shift from the dream world to seeing their own sleeping body triggering an OBE from the dream state.
But I've also read accounts where people who've had both, say, OBEs feel much more real,
Yeah.
more vivid than even the most lucid dreams.
That's a very common report, yes. Like stepping into a different kind of reality altogether, not just a dream. It's a key distinction for many.
So, digging deeper, this idea of multiple bodies, that humans aren't just physical.
Right. That's a core concept in many traditions that discuss this. The idea is we're composite beings with several interconnected bodies or layers.
And the astral body is the main one for this travel.
That's the idea. Sometimes called the body of light or subtle body. It's believed to be the vehicle for this travel, operating independently of the physical brain during projection.
And Theosophy, you mentioned, really dug into this,
Yeah.
even making distinctions within projection.
They did. They really refined the terminology. They talked about etheric projection.
Okay, what's that?
So that's supposedly traveling in the etheric body, which is thought to be closer to the physical. The destination is a realm that's almost a duplicate of our physical world.
Like seeing your own room, but slightly different.
Exactly. Robert Bruce called it the real-time zone, or RTZ. You might observe things happening in the physical world in real time, supposedly.
Okay, versus astral projection proper.
Right. That's traveling in the actual astral body to the astral plane itself, and that's described as a whole different reality.
Different laws of physics, altered time.
All of that. Symbolic landscapes, maybe encounters with other beings. It's much more removed from physical reality.
Wow, so this astral plane,
Hmm.
what's the consensus description? Is it one place?
It's generally described as vast, multi-layered, like an intermediate world, between physical Earth and some kind of divine source or higher reality.
And it's populated.
Supposedly, yes, by a huge range of non-physical beings. People talk about angels, spirits, guides, even other projectors or dreamers.
And the key thing is, it reacts to your thoughts.
That comes up again and again. Highly responsive. It's shaped by the projector's thoughts and emotions. Your state of mind literally creates the environment around you to some extent.
That's a lot to take in.
It is. And Theosophy even mapped out different levels within it, potential heavens, hells, after-death states.
And I saw references to the Akashic records within this plane. What's the story there?
Ah, the Akashic records. Yeah, that's a big one for many practitioners. They're described as this kind of universal library.
The cosmic internet.
Sort of. A non-physical repository of all knowledge, every event, thought, emotion from all of history. Accessing them is often seen as a major goal for gaining deep insight.
Okay, that leads us to something that sounds crucial for safety, maybe. The silver cord.
Yes, the silver cord. It's reported almost universally in the literature and accounts.
What is it exactly?
Described as this luminous, incredibly elastic, energetic tether.
Connecting the astral body to the physical.
Exactly. During the separation, stretches infinitely, apparently, and it's very resilient. Some people link it metaphorically to that line in Ecclesiastes, or ever the silver cord be loosed.
Right. So practically speaking, if you're trying this, what's its importance?
It's the lifeline. It guarantees your return to the physical body. The belief is that it only severs at the moment of physical death. So it's fundamental to the safety protocols in these traditions. It directly addresses that very common fear, especially for beginners.
Of getting lost or not being able to get back.
Precisely. Believing in the cord transforms it from something terrifying into, well, a manageable exploration.
It's really amazing how far back these ideas go. This isn't just some modern New Age thing, is it?
Not at all. The sources make it incredibly clear. Belief in a soul that can travel outside the body, it's pancultural. Roots possibly going back hundreds of thousands of years.
Wow. So ancient Egypt, we know they had complex ideas about the soul parts, like the Ba and Ka.
Yeah. Right, depicted in the Book of the Dead, the Ba leaving the body. Very sophisticated stuff.
But what about other indigenous traditions? Where was this soul flight really central?
Oh, it's core to shamanism worldwide. You look at the Yaskamo and the Amazon, they undertook journeys deliberately to consult with cosmological beings for healing the community, naming children, finding good hunting spots.
It's like practical function.
Absolutely. And similarly, the Inuit Angakuk traveled to mythological realms, again, for the community's benefit. It wasn't just personal exploration. It was often a vital service.
That's a really different perspective than maybe how some people see it today.
It is, and you see it strongly in Hinduism, too. Ancient texts like the Yoga Vashishta detail the subtle body, the Yoga Sarira.
And projection was a siddhi, a power.
An extraordinary power, yeah. There are stories in the Mahabharata like Drona leaving his body, and modern teachers like Yogananda or Meher Baba saw it as a spiritual practice, a tool for advancement.
And these ideas weren't isolated, right? They influenced Western thought, too.
Definitely. You had Plato and Aristotle talking about quintessence or ether,
Right,
which fed into this idea of astral mysticism, linking our psyche to the stars, basically. Then the Neoplatonists, like Plotinus, developed these really elaborate maps of the soul's journey through planetary spheres.
And that thread continues through Gnosticism and Hermetic traditions, the soul ascending.
Exactly. And it pops up strongly in Islamic and Judaic mysticism, too.
Like Prophet Muhammad's night journey.
Yes, the Mirage.
Yeah.
And Sufi concepts like the Alam al-Mithal, the imaginal world, and in Kabbalah you have the world of Yetzirah. It's all exploring these non-physical realms.
Then fast forward to medieval and Renaissance Europe, influenced by Islamic scholars.
Hugely. Avicenna Ibn Sina was very influential. And think of Dante's Divine Comedy, especially Paradiso. It's basically an account of astral journeys.
Wow.
Plus groups like the Rosicrucians, Paracelsians, alchemists, they were all deep into exploring these intermediate worlds.
But then the modern understanding, how we mostly talk about astral projection today, that really comes from somewhere specific, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And this is a crucial point our sources highlight. The modern terminology, the specific practices, the way it's framed, it's overwhelmingly a product of the Theosophical Society.
Late 19th century. Blavatsky, Olcott.
That's them. Their whole project was creating this universal spiritual science. They took bits and pieces from all these global traditions, synthesized them, sometimes stripping away the original cultural context, mind you,
Right.
and repackaged it. They popularized terms like Akasha, the Akashic records.
And they actually coined astral projection.
They coined it and heavily promoted it, yes. They also made that distinction we talked about earlier, etheric travel versus astral travel.
So they basically took these ancient, often sacred or community-focused practices
And turned them into a kind of democratized, technique-based skill, something any individual seeker could potentially learn and practice.
That's a massive shift. And then in the 20th century, it really went mainstream, relatively speaking.
Yeah, thanks to authors like Sylvan Muldoon, Hereward Carrington, and especially Robert Monroe.
The Monroe Institute guy with the engineering background.
That's him. He presented it almost like a repeatable phenomenon, something you could learn methodically. He really popularized it for a Western audience.
Okay, but then there's that weird detour during the Cold War.
Ah, yes. The psychotronics chapter. It's pretty wild.
Governments getting involved. CIA, Soviets.
Both sides, yeah. Driven by paranoia about psychic spies. They poured money into research on things like remote viewing.
Which is basically...
Well, it's arguably a secularized, maybe even weaponized version of astral projection, using it for intelligence gathering. Talk about taking it out of its spiritual context.
That is bizarre. So after that,
Yeah.
let's say, cloak and dagger phase.
Thankfully, post-Cold War, it found a much more natural home in the New Age movement,
Right.
where it's promoted more as a tool for personal growth, self-discovery, maybe even healing trauma or reducing anxiety.
And now you can find courses online, workshops.
Exactly. It's become much more accessible, for better or worse.
Okay, so for anyone listening who's now thinking, how do people actually do this?
Yeah.
Let's get into the nuts and bolts.
Right. The techniques, you can think of them like, well, protocols. Algorithms for shifting your state of consciousness.
Guiding you through relaxation, those weird in-between states.
Exactly. Towards that point of separation.
And our sources stress, there's some basics you need first, regardless of the technique, right? Prerequisites.
Absolutely non-negotiable for most practitioners. First up, environment. Quiet, comfy, private, no interruptions.
Dark room, phone off.
Definitely. Some people even do like an energetic cleansing ritual first. Sage or something.
When's the best time?
Early morning seems to be the consensus favorite, you know, after maybe 4 or 5 hours of sleep.
So you're rested, but still kind of drowsy.
Exactly. That sweet spot between being relaxed enough to let go, but aware enough to stay conscious.
And your physical body needs to be super relaxed.
Totally relaxed. Basically, body asleep, mind awake, deep breathing, progressive muscle relaxation starting at the toes, working your way up. Those are standard.
And avoid booze, heavy meals beforehand.
Yeah. Definitely discouraged. They can interfere with the state you need to achieve.
Okay, body relaxed. What about the mind? Emotional state.
Crucial. Maybe even more important. You need a calm mind. Quiet that internal chatter.
Easier said than done
Tell
sometimes.
me about it. But strong emotions, fear, stress, even too much excitement, they can totally block it or snap you back.
So setting a clear intention is key, like programming your mind.
Very much so. A clear, positive, focused intention about what you want to achieve.
Okay, foundation set. Then you hit these gateways, like the hypnagogic state.
Right. That's that fuzzy state, just as you're drifting off to sleep.
See weird images, hear sounds.
Yeah, vivid stuff. The tricky part is holding onto your awareness through that as your body falls asleep.
And then the vibrational state. That sounds intense.
It's often described as the key sign. Powerful physical vibrations, like a current running through you, humming, buzzing sounds. Sometimes sleep paralysis comes with it.
Which can be terrifying.
It can be. But the advice is, don't freak out. If you want to project, you actually lean into it, accept it. It's seen as the signal that separation is imminent.
Okay, so you've reached the vibrations. Now what? How do you actually separate?
This is where the specific techniques come in. One category is visualization-based.
Like the rope technique.
Exactly, Robert Bruce's method.
Right.
You vividly imagine a rope hanging above you, and then use your imaginary astral arms to pull yourself up, hand over hand. The intense focus on the physical sensation helps force the separation.
Or just visualizing yourself floating up.
That too. Or the displaced awareness technique. You try to feel your awareness outside your physical head. Maybe imagine your astral self turning around inside your body, or just visualizing the room from a different spot until you pop out.
Tricking your brain's location sense.
Pretty much. Then you have methods focusing more on the state of consciousness itself.
Monroe's technique.
Yeah, his is very systematic. Steps A, through D, relaxation, getting into hypnagogia, deepening it, then controlling the vibrations. Separation is then just an act of will, feeling lighter, maybe a gentle rollout motion.
And the wake back to bed method. WBTB.
Ah, that's popular. Sleep for 4-6 hours, wake up briefly, maybe read about AT for 15-30 minutes, then go back to sleep, intending to project.
Why does that work?
It takes advantage of your sleep cycles. REM sleep, where dreams and these states are more likely, is longer and more frequent later in the sleep period.
Makes sense. And just watching yourself sleep.
Yeah, that's a more passive mindfulness approach. Stay aware as you fall asleep, observe everything, and just wait for a spontaneous separation requires a lot of mental discipline.
Okay, what about using dreams, lucid dreaming as a launch pad?
That's considered more advanced. You get lucid in a dream, then consciously try to change the dream scene into, say, your bedroom. That transition can trigger an OBE.
And using sleep paralysis itself.
Right. For experienced folks, that scary state is actually seen as a direct doorway. Instead of fighting it, you stay calm, accept it, and use those sensations, the buzzing, the feeling of being moved as momentum to push or float out.
Wow, turning fear into a tool.
Exactly.
Are there other things people use to help? Aids or catalysts?
Yeah, definitely. Sound tech is popular binaural beats.
How do they work?
2 slightly different sound frequencies played in each ear. Your brain perceives a third tone, a beat, and the idea is this can help guide your brain waves into states like alpha or theta.
Which are good for relaxation and projection?
Supposedly, yeah. Deep meditation, hypnagogia states.
And crystals. I've seen that mentioned.
Yep, things like quartz or amethyst. People hold them or put them on their forehead near the third eye. The idea is they help focus energy, maybe offer some kind of protection.
More esoteric aids. What about herbs?
Certain herbs, called Wanerigen's dream inducers, mugwort, wormwood are common examples, used sometimes as incense or tea to promote vivid dreams, lucidity, which might then lead to AP.
So a whole toolkit of techniques and aids.
And a very diverse toolkit developed over a long time.
It's fascinating. But now, let's pivot.
Yeah.
How does modern science look at all this? Through the lens of the brain.
Right. And it's a very different perspective, obviously. The scientific consensus is pretty clear. Consciousness arises from brain activity.
No evidence for it floating around separately.
Not in a way that science can measure or verify, no. So, from this viewpoint, OBEs are powerful, subjective mental experiences, like highly realistic dreams or hallucinations generated by the brain in altered states.
So psychology might see them as dissociative phenomena, a sort of breakdown in how we normally integrate everything.
That's one angle, a disconnect between awareness, memory, body sense. Early researchers even called them complex hallucinations built from memory and expectation.
And maybe defense mechanisms.
Yeah.
Like in near-death situations.
Some psychodynamic theories suggest that, yeah. A way for the mind to cope with extreme threat by creating a feeling of survival, of separation from the dying body.
And there's a link to fantasy proneness.
Some studies show a correlation, yeah. People who are naturally very good at vivid fantasizing report OBEs more often. It suggests an overlap in brain function or personality traits.
But the really big discovery in neuroscience seems to be the TPJ temporoparietal junction.
Absolutely, that's been a game changer. It's this area where your temporal and parietal lobes meet, especially on the right side.
And it's like the brain's GPS for the self.
That's a great analogy. Its job is multisensory integration. It pulls together data from your senses, balance, touch, vision, body position, to create that feeling of I am here inside this specific body, our sense of self-location.
And Olaf Blank's research stimulating this area.
Directly induced OBEs, consistently. In an epilepsy patient, stimulating her right, TPJ made her feel like she was floating near the ceiling, looking down at her body.
Wow. And they could control it with the stimulation intensity.
Yeah, affecting the perceived distance and the vividness. It's incredibly strong evidence linking that specific brain area to the feeling of being out of body.
So the neurological model is basically a glitch in the system.
Pretty much. A failure of that multisensory integration at the TPJ. The brain gets conflicting signals about where the self is located. And its best guess to make sense of the confusion is to create 2 representations. The physical body here and a disembodied viewpoint over there.
Okay. And how does this tie into sleep paralysis and lucid dreaming? You said they're related.
Yeah, researchers see them on a spectrum of what they call dissociated REM sleep phenomena, basically overlaps between waking REM sleep and non-REM sleep states.
So sleep paralysis.
Hmm.
Brain wakes up, body still frozen by rematonia.
Exactly. Waking mind, paralyzed body, often with those scary intruder hallucinations.
And lucid dreaming is waking consciousness within the REM dream.
Right. Self-awareness turning on inside the dream world.
So where do OBEs fit on this spectrum?
They're classified as a specific type of hallucination that can happen during sleep paralysis, specifically vestibular motor hallucinations.
Meaning sensations of movement.
Exactly. Floating, flying, spinning. But unlike the scary intruder stuff, these VM hallucinations often feel neutral or even blissful, which sounds a lot like typical OBE descriptions.
And there's a link between how often people have SP, LD, and these experiences.
Strong correlation, yeah. People who frequently experience one tend to experience the others more often too, suggesting they share underlying brain mechanisms related to sleep and wake transitions.
Okay, so if the science points towards brain activity, TPJ glitches, sleep phenomena,
Yeah.
what about the claims of veridical perception?
Ah, the million-dollar question.
People saying they saw things they couldn't possibly have known, reading hidden numbers, accurately describing their own surgery while unconscious.
Right. If those claims could be proven rigorously and repeatably,
It would completely change the game.
it absolutely would. It would be strong evidence for consciousness operating independently. But despite lots of anecdotes and some early experiments that haven't held up to scrutiny, there is currently no scientifically rigorous, peer-reviewed, replicable evidence for veridical perception during OBEs.
So the scientific stance remains that these are more likely.
Misinterpretations, maybe? Fantasy, confabulation, which is like unconsciously creating false memories. Maybe even logical deduction that feels like direct perception after the fact.
So the subjective feeling of certainty isn't enough for scientific proof.
Unfortunately, no. Compelling individual stories are fascinating, but they remain anecdotal until they can be verified under controlled conditions. And so far, that hasn't happened reliably.
Okay, so whether it's a spiritual journey or a brain glitch, or maybe somehow both, let's talk about the experience itself. The benefits people report, but also the risks. It sounds like a real double-edged sword.
It really does. And practitioners are often very upfront about both sides. On the benefits side, people consistently report profound personal and spiritual growth.
Gaining a new perspective, confronting fears.
Exactly. Feeling a connection to something larger, finding a sense of purpose. And just the expansion of experience, exploring dimensions, maybe interacting with other intelligences, accessing that esoteric knowledge we talked about.
Like the Akashic Records.
Right. And as we touched on with shamanism, there's the idea of healing or service. Modern practitioners might try distance healing during projection.
But maybe the biggest one is confronting the fear of death.
For many, yes. That direct, subjective feeling of being conscious outside the body, it can provide this incredibly powerful personal conviction that consciousness survives death. That can fundamentally change how someone views mortality.
Okay, that's the promise. What about the dark side, the dangers? Within the belief system itself, what are the fears?
Well, encountering negative entities is a common one. Malevolent spirits, thought forms.
And the fear of not returning, the silver cord breaking.
That quintessential novice fear, yeah. Though most experienced practitioners dismiss the cord breaking as basically impossible while you're alive. There's also concern about spiritual or physical exhaustion from overdoing it.
And from the psychological clinical side, what are the risks science would point to?
Well, the experience itself can be incredibly disorienting. Reality shattering, even.
Leading to problems if you don't integrate it properly.
Exactly. It can trigger feelings of depersonalization, feeling detached from yourself, or derealization, the world feeling unreal. That can be destabilizing if it persists.
And messing with sleep transitions. Could that cause actual sleep problems?
Potentially, yes. Insomnia disrupting your natural sleep architecture. And this is really important. It can be dangerous for people with a history of certain mental health conditions.
Like psychosis, schizophrenia, severe anxiety.
Yes. Deliberately inducing these highly altered, dissociative states could potentially trigger an episode or make existing vulnerabilities worse. Anyone with that kind of history really needs to seek professional advice before even thinking about attempting this.
That's a critical warning. So, given those risks, what about safe practice? How do practitioners manage this?
Well, many of the protocols function almost like folk psychotherapy. They establish a positive mindset, a safe set and setting.
Like creating a sacred space, Visualizing protective light.
Exactly. Calling on guides, angels, ancestors, whatever resonates with the person's belief system, it instills a vital sense of safety and control.
And intention is key again here.
Paramount. The idea is positive intent attracts positive experiences. Fear attracts negativity. It's about managing your own inner state.
And taking it slow. Grounding afterwards.
Definitely. Beginners are usually advised to start small, maybe just exploring their own room first. And afterwards, grounding is essential.
Kind of ground.
Simple things. Drink water, eat something,
Yeah.
touch physical objects, really feel the sensations in your body, bring yourself fully back to physical reality. Journaling helps integrate the experience too.
And seeking guidance. A teacher or community.
Highly recommended, especially when starting out, for support, interpretation, and troubleshooting.
So this has been, well, a journey through some really complex territory. It feels like this fascinating crossroads, doesn't it? Mysticism meets neuroscience.
It really is, and it's clearly not a simple case of one side being right and the other wrong. Proving or debunking seems inadequate somehow.
Yeah. You said something earlier about dual citizenship, understanding both perspectives.
I think that's maybe the most insightful approach, recognizing that both the esoteric traditions and the scientific framework offer value, but also have limitations.
So the esoteric side gives you this rich map of this subjective experience.
Exactly. It's like the user's guide, how to do it, what it feels like, what you might encounter, based on centuries of reported experience.
While the science gives us the understanding of the biology, the TPJ, the brain states.
Right. It helps demystify the physical sensations, explains what's happening in the brain, and provides a crucial reality check against claims that go beyond subjective experience.
But that core question, is the TPJ just creating an illusion, however profound? Or is it maybe acting like a receiver, tuning into something non-local? That remains.
Deeply philosophical at this point. Science can describe the brain activity associated with the experience, but explaining subjective consciousness itself, we're still far from that. This whole phenomenon really highlights the limits of our current understanding.
It really does. It's a powerful reminder of the mysteries still out there and how looking from different angles can, really enrich our perspective.
Absolutely. There's always more to explore.
So maybe the ultimate journey that astral projection points towards isn't just out of the body, but actually deeper into the fundamental and still unresolved mystery of the self. What does this profound human experience tell you about the boundaries of your own consciousness?